Today at Shard Dubai Summit 2024. But not least, indeed, BTC ecosystem. I would say this is the most important session. Welcome everyone, thank you, go ahead.
All right, good GM. Thanks everybody for showing up. My name is Gray BTC. And of course, they had to keep this session for the last one because it's the most important one, Bitcoin, obviously. When I got into crypto for the first time, the story was that Bitcoin can only be money and that's it. And then we had to be more accepting to anything else that had a different type of promise. So we saw Ethereum and other things. Many years later, we're now coming full circle. So everything seems to be coming back to Bitcoin, and that's why we're here. So I have a lot of cool guys here, founders from different projects. Maybe we can start with 1 minute intros for everybody so that you guys know who you're dealing with. Alex.
All right, hey everyone, I'm Alexei. I'm one of the co-founders of Bob. I've been working on Bitcoin for 9 years now, got into it pretty early through research, did some of the early work on merge mining research, decentralized mining pools, and then got a chance to do a PhD in computer science, focusing on layer 2s and Bitcoin sidechains, and had the chance to co-author one of the first ETH rollup papers, and then designed the first economically secure Bitcoin bridge. And with Bob, which we started around 15 months ago, our mission is to contribute to getting the next billion people onto Bitcoin, bring innovation back to BTC. And the goal here is really to create Bitcoin L2s, Bitcoin rollups. Today, of course, we're not quite there yet. But with BitVM on the horizon and other approaches, I think we're on a very good track to really have innovation on Bitcoin. And one thing to add here, I think, if you look at the history of other networks, the number one use case or kind of narrative that many of them had was, well, we can do something Bitcoin cannot. And now with finally us getting back to Bitcoin, with Bitcoin being able to do other functionality, I think we'll see a mass exodus of teams and projects back to the origins of Bitcoin.
Sure, thanks for that. Charlie, is that a Bitcoin ninja?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Pizza Ninja, yeah.
You go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Gray. Yeah, kind of echo what Alex just said as well. I've been in the space almost 9 years as well. Early in the Ethereum, I would never call myself Bitcoin maxi until kind of now building Bitcoin ecosystem. Kind of early ecosystem builder for Polkadot as well. Brought Polkadot early days into China ecosystem. Web3 Foundation was kind of pretty involved. And also was previously head of APAC for Polygon. So kind of really see the evolution about Ethereum layer 2s, what happened, all the optimism rollup scheme, ZK rollups, was pretty heavily involved with all the acquisition with Hermes, Mer, Midden, all the ZK team, joining the Polygon ecosystem. And it was first week in the Ordinals last year, definitely orange pilled myself, including a lot of my Ethereum friends. That was a great journey. 2023 was definitely the full circle, the beginning of the full circle. Now with a lot of new approaches, new primitive like DLC, BitVM, all the things we're tackling together with multiple other team. We see the second half of the Bitcoin ecosystem definitely bring the adoption and open up the possibilities. Yeah, we started BitLayer last October, right after BVM and our DLC become kind of very exciting. Definitely wants to see the opportunity. I think there's two routes. One on the off-chain route, RGB and a few other team and technical route doing that. And the other one is like the Bitcoin verification route. That's something we're working on together with the Trust Minimized Bridge as well. Yeah.
Nice, thanks for sharing. Ronnie from Bull Network, what are you guys about?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ronnie from Bull Network, and our team was established in 2018, and we have been we have over 20 researchers and engineers, and we are focusing on the privacy computing and the cryptography, including such as zero-knowledge proof, multi-party computation, and trusted execution environment. And we have also published over about 50 academic papers in the top cryptography journals, and we have published the academic paper of Bro Network, and it has been published on the top journal IEEE TFS, and we have completed the development of the core modules of Bro Network. And actually, Bro Network is a permissionless, decentralized, and a secure Bitcoin verification layer, and we focus on the it can support some decentralized verification on Bitcoin and decentralized access management and some forced withdrawal and external hedge on Bitcoin. And now we have some tech solutions, including one-stop Bitcoin layer 2 developer framework and a decentralized Bitcoin bridge, and we are going to provide some service and some infrastructure function for the Bitcoin staking and restaking protocol and some, such like decentralized indexer. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Awesome. Great introductions. You guys definitely know what you're doing. So, like I prefaced before, what happened was that we say that, Bitcoin cannot do all these other things. NFTs came, Ethereum took over, and then now we have, I can't even remember how many chains are out there. Everybody raising money for layer 1s and layer 2s. It's just getting out of control. Good thing is, it seems like things are getting back to Bitcoin. But the question is, what happened? Why is this happening 11, 12 years later and not earlier in the days of Bitcoin? Because effectively nothing changed really on Bitcoin itself, right? Alex, so you guys are going to have 2 minutes for each question so that we can have free time at the end to talk about degen stuff as well. Go ahead.
So 2 minutes per person or 2 minutes total?
2 minutes per person.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm looking at the clock. I mean, I think it has been tried before, right? Rootstock, stacks, liquid, they've existed for a long time. And I think what happened is that the way it was approached was perhaps a bit too early. And also, a lot of the previous sidechain solutions focused on the Bitcoin maxi crowd, trying to convince the very strong core of Bitcoiners that just don't want to use Bitcoin for other things. And I think two things happened that really enabled this Bitcoin renaissance. We had Taproot, the upgrade, go through and suddenly allow us to do things that nobody had anticipated, right? It was supposed to just, do some things for Lightning, and suddenly you could inscribe more data. You have now ways to build things like BitVM. So on the technological side, we suddenly have much more tools. And people just didn't look at it for a while, and now, sometime after Taproot, now you have these innovations coming out, becoming public. At the same time, you have the L2 infrastructure in Ethereum just being much more mature, right? You can spin out L2s out of the box. It's very easy to do. You don't have to reinvent from scratch, which is a big, big advantage. But last, and I think most important, is there's a narrative shift. The core community, or like the Bitcoin community, is changing in the sense of you have more users coming into Bitcoin with the ETF. Bitcoin is mainstream now, so you have millions of users that are going to come into Bitcoin. But so far with ordinals, you had a mass of Web3 power users go back to Bitcoin and start experimenting. And with a lot of like the also core kind of press outlets like Bitcoin Magazine and other kind of previously very vocal maxis taking the side of, okay, let's experiment, suddenly the whole narrative changed. Now it's okay to be experimental. I would get uninvited from some Bitcoin conferences early on because I was doing bridges. And you could clearly distinguish between the podcast conferences and the really technical ones where they were welcoming technology. And now suddenly I get invited back to talk about BitVM. So you can see kind of the shift of the community, how they view things, and also the kind of industry realizing, okay, we need to do something now.
Awesome. Thanks for being on time. You go ahead.
Yeah, but I think from my perspective, it's kind of also similar, see the evolution of Bitcoin history, right? Bitcoin in the last 15 years didn't change that much because BIP take forever to approve. Compared to Ethereum, there's like hundreds of EIPs, right? Ethereum actively have the research team after you're looking at a lot of initiatives, right? So the dynamics are quite different. And I think a lot of Bitcoin ecosystem in the past was pretty much 100% trying to maximize the yield from the miner perspective. The game theory dynamics is very miner focused in terms of builder focus, right? We could argue even before Ordinals, Taproots, there was not necessarily too much like builder culture, right? That was kind of the comment from Vitalik and many other kind of Ethereum builders early days. Vitalik trying to do something on Bitcoin. Didn't work out, right? That's the start of Ethereum. And I think now is a lot of the interesting technical breakthrough on ZK and a few other things, a lot of experimental stuff actually happened and fully beta tested in Ethereum. And we see interoperability already there, roll-up service already there, like ZK proof already there. Like those are already kind of took last 7 years, right? A lot of developers mindshare. But also on the other side, the asymmetric opportunity of Bitcoin unlocking the TVL and ETF as proof, right? It's actually industrial black swan, right? Before that, we could argue there's still not necessarily compliant to build things on Bitcoin. And now, compared to all the scrutiny from SEC, a lot of proof of stake chains essentially could still categorize as security. So I think there's a lot of narrative, tapping around. Okay, unlocking the liquidity on Bitcoin, bringing adoption back to Bitcoin with the new technology upgradation. So these didn't exist a couple of years ago, right? Ordinals were just a little fraction of innovation. Putting some data, JSON data on sats, right? They already get so much product market share. I mean, I think a lot of people cannot even imagine. There's so many people using the actual Bitcoin as gas fee to mint a lot of degenerate stuff, right? But it actually happened in the market, and people have fun with it, not necessarily claiming it's actually bad. So there's a product market fit there. So I think there's a lot of Bitcoin DeFi, Bitcoin adoption, which possibly can happen in the layer 2 space. Yeah.
You didn't answer my question, but I'll come back to you. Ronnie, go ahead. What do you think happened?
Yeah, I think it has, the Bitcoin ecosystem is now very popular and it's unfair right now. And the reason why is that I think the market size is fully ready for what Bitcoin can offer, and also because we have some technical update such like SegWit and Taproot, and so they can provide some base function for the future applications and scenarios. And on the market side, I think that all those protocol and BRC20 protocols is becomes very successful and very popular to all the community, and the community members are talking about what do you mean the inscription today, and how many times your BRC20 tokens has gone. So it brings some developers and investors to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And also here are some more technical solutions such like BitVM and some ZK rollup and Optimism rollup based on the BitVM. And here are also some layer 2 solutions. And due to the high gas fee, so we can see that the first step is issue assets on native Bitcoin. I think this story is very cool. And the second one is that because of the high gas and per user friendly, so we need to transfer assets from Bitcoin to layer 2, and here are some layer 2 solutions now. So I think it's starting for the Bitcoin ecosystem. Yeah.
Awesome. So how many here are into ordinals? Raise your hand. Any ordinal enjoyers? Awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of us. So if I may summarize what you guys are saying, it's basically the last two upgrades that are more critical to what's happening now, Taproot and SegWit. Is that? Yeah,
SegWit not so much. I mean, yes, but it's really Taproot, I think, that enabled this.
Okay, yeah. So it seems like then it's a difference of opinion. Does this affect how you guys build your technologies? Because he is more like Taproot more, you think it's SegWit? I
don't think I mentioned about SegWit at all.
Okay, yeah, he did.
Yeah. We have established some function on Taproot. It's called force withdrawal and escape hatch. For example, if the users bridge or transfer their assets on the Bro network's decentralized asset management. And if here are some problems with the layer 2, and the Bro network can provide a function that the users can submit the mock proof on the they can provide the mock proof themselves, and we can use the Taproot to make sure that the users can retrieve the assets on the Bitcoin if the layer 2 has some problem. Yeah.
Right. So we'll get back to the Bitcoin layer 2 discussion, but I just want to jump onto the Ordinals side of things quickly. So what effect or impact does things like Ordinals have, or now runes, we're getting into the runes era now. What impact does this have? Because from the Bitcoin maxis, they started off being anti. I remember there was a developer from Ocean Mining.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke. He was really, really wild on Twitter about it. But the attitude is starting to change. But from you guys, from the engineering point of view, what impact does this have on Bitcoin? Is it going to break the network?
I mean, I know there's this whole debate of, and like Woody and Eric also going out and saying, well, we broke Bitcoin. It's not really the case. I mean, yes, including additional data into Bitcoin does put additional load on the network. Yes, it does increase the fees. But ultimately, the other way to see this is, okay, Bitcoin should allow people to do whatever they want with it. You saw more speculative use cases and cycles on Ethereum drive innovation, get to a point where you have sustainable long-term use cases and an infrastructure that it can actually sustain these, or layer 2s. And on Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin is going through the same cycle now, just at hyperspeed, because we know what the problems are. We know how to solve them. We just need to figure out how to get them into Bitcoin script. So Ordinals isn't really an attack on Bitcoin. I think if you see that as an attack on Bitcoin, then it's clearly that Bitcoin isn't ready yet at the base layer to embrace billions of users. Because ultimately, sure, if I want to post an image and it creates an issue with Bitcoin, well, somebody will definitely do that to disrupt the network once we have 1 billion users. So I think it's just a phase of, building more robust infrastructure. And yes, you need more experimental use cases to actually figure out what can and can we not do and where are the issues.
Right. And what do you think?
Yeah, I think Ordinals definitely create an open innovation in terms of actually users can create interesting synthetic assets on Bitcoin network rather than just Bitcoin native Bitcoin itself, right? So I use a very kind of layman example. Back in days in 2012 or in 2013 in Amsterdam or whatever, global Bitcoin meetup, the only thing they talk about is, okay, you have Bitcoin, I have Bitcoin, like how to scale that. That's pretty much it. Right now with Ordinals, there's so many interesting stories to talk about, so many innovation to open up, right? We have all kinds of, DLCs, or RGBs, a lot of the layer 1 scaling solutions. But, there's definitely a lot of bottlenecks and hurdles. That's the reason we're looking at different layer 2 solutions as well. Assets maintained on layer 1 Bitcoin open up a lot of new business models and new things, right? That's the real adoption. So I think that's definitely very exciting. Bitcoin last year with Ordinals went through the entire 7 years of Ethereum route, from ICO to DeFi Summer to NFTs and a bunch of other stuff. Within the last 12 months, so we happen a lot of things, even with Metaverse, right, Bitmap, and many other interesting innovation along the ways. So those are kind of the adoption didn't even exist in Ethereum, or somehow a little twist, a funny twist out of that, right? But we see, as I mentioned, Alex mentioned, do we really can have like a billion users actually using Bitcoin layer 1 to that? Bitcoin layer 1 never designed to be like that, right? It's ultrasound money as an M0, right, on the monetary system. So if you want to create a lot of synthetic and DeFi applications, first it's UTXO, there's no smart contract, it's not tooling completeness. A lot of things we think that for granted in Ethereum, you can't do that on Bitcoin layer 1, right? So what's next? Either off-chain or layer 2. Right, and I think that's kind of why we kind of been saying that Bitcoin ecosystem, the first half was last year. It happened, kind of in a very fast-forward way, can package a lot of things within 12 months. Now we're hitting the second half of the Bitcoin ecosystem with a lot of new innovation happening. So definitely unlock a lot of possibilities.
Thank you. Ronnie, what do you think is the impact of Ordinals on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think it has huge contribution for the development of Bitcoin ecosystem because people will pay attention to the increased value and the new market of especially in Bitcoin. And I think without the Ordinals protocol, such or some issue access protocol on Bitcoin layer 1 or native Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ecosystem cannot grow so quickly. It's only used about 1 year. And when I first heard about the Ordinals protocol, OBS20 protocols, is about the last year at maybe February or March, I forgot. And I feel the feeling is so excited because, we can see it in the market side. It's just like when I first time I read the red paper of Bitcoin and the experience of the DeFi summer after using the Uniswap and Compound, because it's very interesting, and the fair launch is very useful for the community, because the people and community they don't like the VC in the last round, and the people think it's more fair. So people would like to use their guys to mint and to developer and to transfer the owners' assets, And it's also very useful for the NFT because, as Chat said before, NFT on Bitcoin is a real NFT because it's on chain,
Right. It has been an incredible run for the Orinos, stealing a lot of the liquidity from Ethereum, lots of growth. And as a side note here, the Bitcoin ecosystem, the Orinos ecosystem, is the only segment of the market in which all early players and investors are in profit. Very different from Solana. What I mean is that if you were early just minting random stuff, right now you've got a bunch of airdrops and you basically you're in good terms as compared to the other chains right now. I wonder if this is going to happen with tokens, which brings me to my next question now. What do you consider a layer 2 in the context of Bitcoin? Are you basically just copying what Ethereum can do and then that's a layer 2? What is it? And then for your own chain, why is it superior to anything else that's out there as a layer 2? We start with you.
So I think I'm going to say something controversial, like Bitcoin has no layer 2 but Lightning, right? If you're very, very strict, Lightning is the only layer 2 out there. Even Optimism today with that fraud proofs on Ethereum is not a layer 2, right? Until you have fraud proofs and settlement on the layer 1, academically speaking, and as it has been defined before, it's not a layer 2. Now, however, the term, just like previously sidechains, is being used more as a summary, overarching definition of things that are a layer, kind of, that build on top and kind of try to use the underlying layer 1 for whether it's posting data, using merge mining. But at the end of the day, if we're looking from technical perspective, it's closer to a sidechain today. And if you look at all the Bitcoin layer 2s, they're closer to a Polygon is to Ethereum than what Arbitrum is to Ethereum, until the day that we have BitVM or OPCat or some other fork that allows us to introduce a ZK verifier. We don't really have that.
So, sorry, are you saying that there is no direct settlement? Like these sidechains are not using Bitcoin as a settlement layer?
No. Every Bitcoin layer 2 today uses some wrapped form that is custodied in a multisig or some other MPC-based system. There is no native L1, L2 bridge as you see it on Ethereum. It doesn't work yet. It is simply not possible. With BitVM, again, we might be able to get close, pretty close to Arbitrum's design, but if you want something that really inherits even more security, so similar to how ZK Sync or ZK Rollup, Fuel V2, really, which on L2 beat will have, the whole circle green, then we need a fork. And there's actually a very cool website, it's called Bitcoin Layers, that is creating a L2 beat for Bitcoin. I'm helping them on the research side, and that's essentially slightly controversial, but technical assessment, it is what it is. And on Bob's side, what we try to do is two things. We realize that, okay, everything is multisig today at the end of the day on Bitcoin. So instead of us doing a multisig with our friends, we use ETH security from day one. And we say we bootstrap by connecting to Ethereum, and our mission is to get ETH users to come to Bitcoin, give them an easy way to start getting exposure to things like runes, ordinals, but also build infrastructure so you can one-click deploy your BTC into DeFi, right? Abstract away bridges, make it super simple, build the infrastructure around, while at the same time we invest all our research resources into researching BitVM and have been contributing to it since December, but it's still quite early. And that's why also Bob is not a Bitcoin L2, it's a hybrid layer 2. It's currently inheriting security from Ethereum. In phase 2, we will have a new type of merged mining which allows Bitcoin miners to add security to the layer 2. So now we're aligned with Bitcoin miners, and we actually announced a partnership with Marathon Digital. We work with Via BTC, Antpool, Bitdeer, because they're all very interested in figuring out how they can secure these Bitcoin sidechains or layer twos, whatever you want to call it. And of course, that increases their income and it contributes to the sustainability of Bitcoin. And then with BitVM, we get to a point where, yes, we hopefully should be able to do settlement, but it's going to take a while. It's still very clunky. And of course, any type of fork would help, but I think it's very dangerous as a business and also for the ecosystem to bet on Bitcoin adding a fork. I've been in this space for a while. Others have been there even longer, and everybody will tell you, while everybody, even Andrew Polstra, is in favor of OP-CAT, there are a lot of unknowns of what it can and cannot do, and that's of course a risk, and there will be a lot of pushback for adding that. And I started off being pro OP-CAT, and now I'm after spending a lot of time with Robin as well, I'm kind of also getting more cautious because I can see if we break Bitcoin, really, then everything goes down, right? Then everything falls. So we have to be very careful of what we change, and I think we're not quite there yet to determine what is the right fork.
Awesome. Great answer. I learned a lot from that. Go ahead, Charlie.
Waiting for BIP, waiting for OP-CAT is first a very dependent on assumption. It takes forever, and we shouldn't just depend on that. I think that's kind of the consensus among multiple teams already as well. I think we mentioned BVM multiple times, right? It really opened up the route, building the future of Bitcoin ecosystem. One is trust minimized bridge. Second, Bitcoin verification. Without Bitcoin verification, the layer 2 is not, the security level is different. Essentially, the security assumption is different compared to the real roll-up, right? We wanted to build a real roll-up like as Ethereum, right? Either it's a for-proof optimism roll-up or ZK roll-up. The Ethereum as a settlement layer, with Bitcoin, the architect current support doesn't support that. We still have a miles away, right? Like multiple years away. It gives me the kind of history back in 2020. Ethereum research team wants to start, ZK EVM, right? 2.5 years later, Hermes had a very narrow, not general purpose, kind of a ZK EVM launched. I was witnessing that in Switzerland. It takes a while. So in Bitcoin, with a lot of back and forth, multi-party kind of game theory, it takes quite a long time. So where are we now? A bunch of sidechain, either Polygon CDK, Substrate in a way to build a sidechain with a multi-signature, right, model. So I think one way to tackle that is how to unlock the liquidity, and the social dependent level is still there, right? The majority honest trust assumption is still there. So how to move forward? I think a couple of things, right? Using a native, user kind of multi-sig kind of trustless bridge, which is not 100% trustless, but lower down the trustless level from T2N to 1-to-N is very important. Second, the prover verifier, right? Or the state transition. Either it's going to OP route or ZK route. There's a multiple team working on that. We are more on the OP plus DLC kind of model to work on the verification and to verify the state transitions on layer 2, right? So that's another part. I think the definition of layer 2, definitely we have different arguments. I think the debate is ongoing. If Bitcoin magazines route, they have to say you cannot even have your governance token, right? You have to use Bitcoin as your gas fee. All these somehow is a bit too extreme. And I like to use Bitcoin as a gas fee. We don't necessarily use our own governance token for the layer 2. It's more like a network design choices, right? But it's not even a technical choice. But I think social consensus is still there. And it's going to last for a while. The whole 100% trustless of minimized bridge with custody without going through kind of industrial route of using like an alpha, Bitdeer, a bunch of all these very solid battle tested custody solution. I don't think we are ready there, right? A lot of Bitcoin miners we're talking to, they trust all these very solid battle tested, institutional level custody solution provider, and they are like multi-sig right now. Right, so that's kind of the industry where we are, but that's definitely not the destination.
So quickly, because he mentioned the mining companies that they're probably partnering with, and you mentioned mining there as well. Will there be a separate ecosystem for mining for layer 2s, or this is going to be the same thing?
I saw some already there. Like Marathon is one example. There's a few others, and Alpha is exploring that as well. So a lot of the mining pool or mining farms, they're exploring to building their own sovereign roll-up. I think that will happen eventually. I see at least like 10 interesting Bitcoin layer 2s in the space with different technical design choices, right? Some are more decentralized, some more centralized with custodies and MPCs. Yeah, and they each have their own use cases and an ecosystem.
All right, I'll go back to Ronnie quick and come back to you. So Ronnie, what kind of apps should we be expecting? Is it the same things on Ethereum, say DeFi, lending, borrowing, and NFTs, or the layer 2s on Bitcoin will bring something new that maybe you can
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know. I want to answer last question right now. Yeah, because I think it depends on how we define layer 2. Such like if we define scalability solutions as layer 2, such like sidechain, connect verification, or ROP solution, or state channel, they can all define Bitcoin layer 2. But in my personal, I think that we should define Bitcoin layer 2 more strictly because from the cryptography level, if the layer 2 is secure, it must inherit the security of Bitcoin native. And we can think that as Ethereum or other smart contract platform, Ethereum has gone from the sidechain to Plasma, then to Optimism ROP and Zk ROP. And they have different security level, but they all rely on the smart contract functionality on Ethereum, but there's no smart contract functionality on Bitcoin. So I think the layer 2 should address the two issues. The first one is, as I said before, it's a decentralized custody and decentralized bridge between layer 2 and Bitcoin itself. And the second one is that the layer 2 must make sure that users can retrieve their assets if the layer 2 have some problem. Yeah, and I think this question must be issue, and so it's what we work on it. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think a very important element of what we just discussed here is that debate of should a layer 2 have their own token or they should be using Bitcoin as a native token for gas fees. What's your take on that? Because it looks like from Ethereum what we have learned so far is that most blockchains do not need their own token. They create it to make money. And that is, in the Bitcoin ecosystem has a lot of pushback because you have so many Bitcoin maxis. So, and this is one of their talking points as well. So should a Bitcoin layer 2 issue their own token, or it's not necessary?
I mean, that's not a yes or no question. It really depends what you're trying to achieve. I think it's important, and we've seen this over and over, that you should not be forced to acquire some asset on some third-party exchange just to be able to use it. If you have that experience that I have to go and figure out how to get the gas token, you're not going to do well, right? You really have to focus on distribution, and ultimately what we're heading to on ETH L2s in general in the L2 space is through a CAN abstraction that users will pay fees in whatever they want. So at the end of the day, a user should really not care whether they want to pay in Bitcoin, in stablecoins, in ETH, whatever that is in the wallet, just go and use the thing. And I think you see this with Revolut. And if you think about Revolut versus traditional banks, like Revolut, you have like different accounts, right? And you just, debits against whatever you have. And that's the experience you need to get to. For governance, that's a different debate, right? And I think the issue is with a lot of the Bitcoin maxis, and again, not technical, but laser eye, this kind of Bitcoin podcast industry. The thing is, they all are very well involved in this like centralized space. They promote exchanges, they promote some like centralized custody solutions. And well, sure, if you say you want to have some form of governance mechanism, Bitcoin never had that. Bitcoin doesn't have a proper way to decide on which upgrade to do or not, whereas newer networks actually do. So there you can really debate, okay, so I think the question is not does it need a token, it's does it need governance? And how do you govern the system? And for example, in the case of Marathon's project called Alice or Enduro, and then Alice is one of the ecosystem projects or one of the sidechains in that ecosystem that we're actually building together, that will not have any other asset. It just has Bitcoin, but it's also not meant to be Web3 native. It's a federated system targeted at institutions for RWA use cases. And in that case, these companies, they don't want somebody else to govern their platform. They want to have control. And in that case, okay, makes no sense. But if you want to give alignment and actually voting rights to the broader community and have like a big decentralized network, well, then you really have to start thinking, okay, how to actually do that? And that's the question, and not, oh, do I issue a token? And that's a following effect, right. But the core question is governance.
I see. So the core point for why anyone would want to launch a token, in your opinion, is whether it's a governance question.
I mean, apart, of course, if you really think of what the system needs. Sure, people launch tokens to make a lot of money, but what the system actually needs is, okay, decision on governance.
Yeah, right.
I think on top of the governance, the very important other thing is we're creating, adoption on the new ecosystem, right? The incentive layer is very important as well. Without your own governance token, as creating incentive pools and all that, it becomes very difficult to work around with, right? I think so far the design choices we kind of follow what happened with Arbitron, Optimism. They use wrap the Ethereum and then start using their own governance token for gas fees. And I think the market kind of what the goal for the Bitcoin ecosystem is not just to serving the existing maxis and laser eyes, right? Is really to bring them the adoption, even the mass adoption, even the Web2 guys to the Bitcoin ecosystem. So it's not really about what the maxis think. With all due respect, right? I think the whole using Bitcoin as a gas fee, it makes some degree of sense. We're kind of following that route. But in the future, it's really about creating a sensible governance and an incentive layer. Where the yield come from, right? All these kind of liquidity pool, right? All these DeFi protocols on your network, right? How to creating a kind of computation and also composability layer for this protocol, that protocol. They can have interesting yield from each other. I think without your governance token, it's going to be very difficult to work around with. It's just a very business practical thing, happening with Ethereum. I think with Ethereum, there's much more a possibility. It's still having a hard time to do that. With Bitcoin now, with huge debate, with all that, it's not going to be easy for you to, without having your own token, use the Bitcoin as gas fee to do a lot of things for grow your ecosystem. Yeah.
Awesome. Ronnie?
Well, I think the layer 2 should use BTC as gas as native token. And as for whatever issue their own government token, it depends on the project. Yeah. And because the layer 2 usually use lock and mint or lock and release to issue their Bitcoin native gas, and they usually use the BS20 or S20 or runes protocol to developer and mint the token, the governance token on the Bitcoin layer 1, then cross to the layer 2. And it depends on the project, I think. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. So at Crypto University, one of the things that we identified is that we have a community of 35,000 people. And we try to get all of them into Ethereum NFTs before. But what we have noticed last year with Bitcoin Ordinals is that most people actually found it easier to get onto Ordinals because there was no bridging. During the Polygon NFTs, when the NFTs were the thing, it's like, okay, you get Ethereum, then bridge into Polygon, and then you can buy the NFT. It was very complicated for most people. Ordinals was like, okay, download Xverse, deposit Bitcoin, then you can buy them. So I think there is something to consider there for all you gas builders to, if you want new users, you have to think of that kind of simplicity. So lastly, we have 2 minutes to go. You have 30 seconds to share the next big thing within your project. Do you have any alpha that the community should know?
All right, well, 30 seconds. We're launching shortly after the halving. We will focus on 2 things. Getting Bitcoin into DeFi, we have Velodrome, we have Sovereign, we have Layer Bank, some of the largest DeFi projects deploying to Bob, and what we provide them with is a one-click way to bring, exactly what you said, bring your Bitcoin into the Layer 2. No bridging interface, just get into Bob within a few clicks. We'll have runes, so Bob is being designed to be the place to access runes specifically for Ethereum users. We'll have a MetaMask integration. That's actually, if you go to the MetaMask Snap Store, you can find it. That allows 30 million MetaMask users to use Ordinals, runes, Bitcoin in their MetaMask wallet. So no longer installing a different wallet. You can go and start right away. And that's, I guess, the alpha here is all the tools we build is to unite these 2 ecosystems at Bob and just make it super easy to experiment with Ordinals, experiment with Bitcoin DeFi.
Awesome. Charlie?
So Belayer, we're launching our mainnet as well. We're embracing Rune assets and many other asset protocol as we speak as well. It's a very exciting week. We're launching one of the first FRI ZK verifier to make progress on the BVM side. I think we're making some interesting progress on POC. Multiple SHA 2 and 256, we implemented that and contributing to the community already. We're launching our kind of Bitcoin L2B called BTC Eden. Has a lot of interesting recognition in the space and deep dive on the data, availability solution as well. So a lot of the kind of infrastructure stuff we kind of finishing up in the next couple of months. We're going to launching that.
Charlie?
Well, we have two tasks. The first one is that we are going to launch decentralized Bitcoin bridge in May, I guess, and it can support all kinds of layer 2s, and the users only need to bridge their assets from Bitcoin layer 1 to layer 2 in one interface, and it will support all kinds of Bitcoin assets protocol. And the second one is we are going to public the test net. Yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's clap a hand for all of these guys here. This has been fantastic. Lastly, before you go, what is your favorite Runes project so far?
Runestone.
Runestone, okay.
So do I. Runestone.
He just stole all of our kind of comments.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like Runestone too, but I think RSIC is much more interesting because you don't know what's going on.
It's
I guess
subjective.
Pops is also very hot.
Yeah.
Pops is cool as well. Yeah.
All right, cheers, guys. Thank you.